Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Just get in here. I don't know why I've never tried sitting on the floor for these before, but this is like a way better angle because I feel like by the time I sit up on the bed or couch or wherever, and get the tripod set up, it's like not flattering. And then I'm too far away from my phone, so I can't read the comments easily. So I don't know why I haven't done this before. This is the great setup. Normally, I'm here live, guys, Thursdays at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. However, yesterday was a holiday. I just figured people might be busy, so I rescheduled it for today. But normally you can find me around this time on Thursdays. Hello, everyone hopping on. Welcome. As you hop on, feel free to drop a hello in the comments. Let me know if you're new or returning, if this is your first time seeing me, where you're tuning in from, all that good stuff. I'm going to talk about, so for those of you who may not know me, my name's Hannah. I'm a manifestation coach. Really, I work with you guys for manifestation through self-concept, law of assumption, all those terms you've heard, but mostly like mindset and emotional regulation. That's mostly what I focus on, because to me, those are the key factors there in successfully manifesting. And today we're going to speak specifically on allowing happiness, because this is something that I see, hello to everyone hopping on, people struggling with, and people who are like, oh, I've been on the manifestation journey for a long time, but they're not manifesting the big things. I guarantee you it's because you're not allowing yourself to be happy now. And that's because of a lot of stories we have going on, a lot of resisting current circumstances, the meanings we assign to things. So I actually have a passage I'm going to read to you guys from this book that I've been loving, The Inner Work. It should be tagged on this live in the TikTok shop. If you can't find it, just go back to one of my last videos, because my last video, I tagged it in the TikTok shop. Okay. I really am loving this book. I'm going to read to you out of it today. And just share some stuff with you, and we're going to have a good talk. And if you guys have any questions, you can drop the questions below. Okay. So welcome everyone. And before we get started, just so you guys know, I post the replays of these lives on my YouTube channel, okay? So you know where to find all the things, all right? As well as if you want to see what else is going on. I have lots of ways I can support you guys, okay? In addition to these weekly lives. Hello everyone. I'm seeing lots of new faces, so don't be shy. Feel free to drop a hello in the comments. Okay, so I'm going to read you this passage. Thank you, Angela. Welcome. I'm going to read you this passage and then we'll dive into it a little deeper, okay? So this one says, there's a little quote here from Deepak, and it says, be happy for no reason like a child. If you are happy for a reason, you are in trouble because that reason can be taken from you. Hello, Ari. Welcome. So before I even dive in and read you the actual passage, I know for me along my journey, like that was a big one of my hangups around why I was afraid to let myself be happy, because I thought that it could get taken from me. I had a lot of like negative experiences growing up where things were taken away. Oh, Angela, I'm reading from this book, The Inner Work, and it should be tagged on the live. I don't see it myself, but I did tag it on here before I went live. So if for some reason you guys can't find it tagged, guys, just go to the last video in my TikTok shop. Do you think I have? Oh, here, let me pin it. It should be pinned. I think I pinned it. Let me know if someone can let me know if you can see this tagged. That would be great, because I love this book. But sorry, I'm like newer to like adding the products on, because I'm usually not like a big product promoter, but I've been loving this book, and I like genuinely use it to make a lot of my content now, and I love sharing it with you guys, and I think you guys will find it helpful. You see it now? Perfect. Okay, maybe I have to pin it. I'll remember that next time. Okay, so yeah, so like a lot of my programming, a lot of like the negative experiences I personally had growing up, and many of you may relate to this, was that, if I was too happy, I felt like people around me would be triggered by that and they would try to bring me down, right? Or I would get punished, or if I had extra of something, people would want it and take it from me, or good things were just taken away for no apparent reason. So I had a lot of subconscious programs going on around, it's not safe to be happy, it's not safe to receive, it's not safe to have abundance, because it's going to get taken away, or people are going to it's going to draw unwanted attention. I'm going to have jealous people, or it's going to trigger people. Do you know what I mean? So I had a lot of my own personal blocks around that. And what Deepak is saying here in this quote is, he saying, you know, be happy for no reason, just like a child. If you are happy for a reason, then you're in trouble because that reason can be taken from you. And so when we're looking at manifestation, a lot of this is about, I mean, all of it really, I would argue, is about learning how to be self-sourced, meaning you're not dependent on outside circumstances for your happiness. You're not dependent on outside people or circumstances in order to feel good, to feel safe, to feel abundant. It's learning how to generate these feelings within yourself without the things. And then that's ironically when the things show up, because of hello, mirror principle, the outside physical world is only reflecting back to us our internal state. Okay, I talk about this a lot in my self-concept guide, which you guys know where to find all the things. I think because I have this linked, I'm not supposed to really talk too much about that, but you guys know where to find everything. Okay, but I explain in there how, you know, we can't manifest something from the outside that we're not like holding inside. So, you know, you want the money because you think you're going to feel abundant. Then you want the love because then you're going to feel loved. You want the success because then you're going to feel proud of yourself and enough. But those things can't show up if you're not feeling those things. So when you hear spiritual people talk about like, ooh, matching the frequency of it, being an energetic match, that's what we mean. And I know it can be annoying when people don't explain it, but it's really learning how to be unconditional. And essentially it comes down to like, you deserve to be happy. Stop prolonging your happiness, because how many times have you done that where you get the money but you never actually feel safe because you never practiced feeling safe and you're in constant fear of losing it? Do you know what I mean? And people do this with the relationships, they do it with their bodies, their health, we do it with anything. So it's really about self-mastery, mastering your internal state. It's kind of like how in the Bible they talk about seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and all of these things shall be added unto you. Well, that's internal peace. That is knowing internally like you have it all, or it's going to show up. You don't have to worry about it. Like being in a state of peace is what makes you magnetic to your good. Okay. So much of manifestation is not about trying to get stuff outside of you. It's about mastering yourself internally. Hello to everyone hopping on. So let me read this passage for you here. Okay, so it says, letting go of attachment to circumstance. What if experiences and situations are just passing moments, like clouds moving through the sky? What if they are just what's happening and you are just watching it all? What if everything will pass, the good and the bad? What if everything just is what it is, beyond labeling and judging? What if none of it defines you? It is impossible to own a moment, a situation, or experience, yet our ego can't help but cling and grasp. By becoming attached to our experiences as part of our identity, the ego causes suffering by blocking life's natural flow, like trying to swim upstream. Whether it's being stuck in the past or waiting for the future, we miss out on now. Which, side note, guys, another book you may love is The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Okay, if you haven't read that one, I suggest that one too. And also The Untethered Soul. These are some other favorite books of mine that talk about these things, okay? But it doesn't have to be this way. We can let go of our attachment to what's happening outside of ourselves and become free within, just as the sky is unchanged by the clouds passing within it. The bliss of life can shine through us despite uncomfortable circumstances by practicing non-attachment and surrender. The other book, and I'm going to forget who it's by. It's the same guy who wrote Power versus Force, and it's called Letting Go. That one's really good too. Okay. And then there's another quote here. It says, if you realize that all things change, there is nothing that you will try to hold on to. And then it says, circumstances can only rule us so long as we declare it the ruling authority. It is actually us who hold the keys to happiness and contentment. It always has been us. By doing the inner work, we will inevitably uncover a deep satisfaction for life, regardless of circumstance, a satisfaction we have had access to all along. So just to break this down, I'm going to read like a little inquiry for you guys to take with you. But just to break this down a little bit more, and for those of you just joining, this is the inner work. I have it tagged in this live, so you should be able to see it. Okay, it should be pinned. You know, happiness, if we make it dependent on things outside of us, we are going to be like a leaf blowing in the wind with no sense of direction, not rooted, not stable, not anchored. And the idea is you want to stay centered in the eye of the storm. Things outside, conditions are always changing and shifting, just like the seasons, just like nature. It's designed to do that. But you have the power to stay rooted in your happiness no matter what. And that comes from your perspective you're choosing. That comes from the lens through which you are viewing life. If you're viewing life as a victim, you're not going to feel good, right? But if you view it as life is beautiful, everything's happening for me, anything that doesn't feel good in the moment is going to pass, and not clinging or grasping to things, not needing to micromanage and control, not needing certain outcomes in order to feel good. The ego resists this because the ego thinks if I don't cling on, if I don't latch on, if I don't chase, if I don't try to control, then I'm not going to get what I want. But I want you to ask yourself, how has that been working out for you? Because I did that for many years. And sure, I tried to manifest this way for many years, and I would manifest things, but it wouldn't be the big stuff. And it felt like it was like a battle. It was like very hard won, like the amount of work I had to put into that, and then the amount of fear I would have that I was going to lose it, or the difficulty, like it wasn't easy to maintain it, right? Because I hadn't mastered that internal state. But here's the thing that you will discover as you practice letting go, as you practice surrendering, as you practice non-attachment, what you'll find is that the things you want start coming to you without you needing to do much at all. And the whole way I explain this to my clients, my whole belief system behind this, what helps me understand it, is that your desires are given to you by the divine, right? Like by your soul, by God, by the universe. Like you wouldn't want the things you want just to be tortured. Like they're on your heart for a reason. And you are coded to receive them. Like that is your destiny. That is what you are meant to live out and walk out on this planet in this lifetime. And they are inherently yours. They are coded in your DNA. It's a part of who you are, meaning that no one can take it from you. It cannot escape you. Like it cannot not happen. And if you can just relax into that knowing, you'll notice that you physically relax. You're going to energetically relax and be in a receptive state so those things can make their way to you. What you seek is seeking you. In this life, you are meant to be the receiver. We're here to experience life. And if you have a basic foundational belief that life is good, that you are naturally magnetic to your good, that good things are always flowing to you, that life is always going to take care of you, that this is a kind universe, that anything unpleasant isn't going to last, it's just contrast. It just helps you get more clear. If you can stop resisting stuff and just be in the state of peace and calm and certainty and knowing, you're going to have such an easier experience. We spend so much time and energy resisting life, resisting things, being like, this shouldn't be like this. I don't like this. Why hasn't this shown up? How do I need to make this happen? And we're just resisting. And the one thing likely you haven't tried is just surrendering. Right? It's like the ego will try anything but the one thing that works. And what happens when we're in a soft, surrendered, relaxed state is we're actually allowing the old fears and programs to fall away because we're just being the observer, right? We're no longer identifying as that victim. You'll notice your thoughts where you're like, oh, that's a kind of victim-y thought. Like, yeah, no, we're good. But the old programming will naturally fall away and better thoughts will take their place. And the things you want will start happening for you because you're in a state of allowing. But getting to that point's the hard part because ego is going to convince you that letting go and trusting and surrendering and being happy is literally the most unsafe thing. But it really is your superpower. And so today, we're talking about non-attachment, we're talking about surrendering, but really, let me bring it back to the focus of today is allowing happiness. So I'm going to read you the inquiry here about the attachment stuff from the book, but then I want to take it a bit deeper and have you guys, if you have pen and paper, you want to write this down or just reflect on this later, why don't you think it's safe to be happy? What negative beliefs and subconscious programming do you have around being happy? What bad thing do you think is going to happen if you allow yourself to be happy? I shared a little bit about what I had going on in my energy earlier, right? Like I used to be afraid that it would be taken away, that someone would try to ruin it, that people would be mean to me or whatever, like that it would trigger people. I had a lot of beliefs, a lot of false stories going on of why it wasn't safe for me to be happy. And so I spent my life making myself really miserable, being judgmental, being controlling. And all of that was blocking me from allowing the things in that I desperately wanted, the things that I had been working so hard to manifest. So ask yourself that. What about happiness doesn't feel safe to you, right? But I'm going to read you the inquiry from this book that we're reading out of today. Okay, so you guys can take this a little deeper and see what resonates with you more. It says, the great philosopher Socrates urged humanity to examine one's life to the point of even suggesting it is not worth living otherwise. If we are to truly live, we must question the nature of our own thoughts and emotions. Let's give this examination a try now. After reading these next few sentences, make an attempt to consciously quiet the inner chatter of your mind. Give yourself at least 5 minutes of complete inner silence. You can keep your eyes open or you can close them, but if you can allow yourself to sit in complete silence without the mind interrupting you with thinking, you can even set a timer. The exercise will help you understand the nature of your mind and serve as an asset in your inner work progression. Go ahead and try this now. Sit still and see if you can quiet your thoughts in your mind for 5 minutes. So that's something you can practice on your own too. So ask yourself, why are you afraid of happiness? What bad thing do you think is going to happen? What negative associations do you have with being happy? How are you holding yourself back from happiness? How are your attachments stopping you from allowing happiness right now? How are you putting your happiness on hold? Because that straight up is giving your power away. And like we were talking about in the last couple lives, the more you allow yourself to be happy, the more joy and peace you allow yourself to embody, the more magnetic you are, the more quickly your manifestations will come in because you're being present, right? And then I feel like this was a little bit wordy, this self-inquiry, I hadn't actually read that part ahead of time. I knew I wanted to read you the excerpt, but I didn't know about that self-inquiry. But what you can do then after that is just sit for 5 minutes, set a timer like they were suggesting, and just sit with your thoughts. And, don't try to necessarily push them down, but also don't get wrapped up into them. Don't go down the rabbit hole of each thought. Just kind of like observe them and be curious and just sit with yourself. Sorry, I'm just scrolling back, reading over the comments, seeing if I missed anything, guys. But it's so funny because it's like ego will totally resist like the one thing that would work, right? Like we're always so eager to try to control people and circumstances outside of us instead of like changing ourselves internally. And so back on the topic, just a few more things to add on there about allowing happiness. Yes, this can be about specifically doing things that bring you joy, of course. But you also want to take a look at what are all the things you're doing that are preventing you from being happy? Like, what are the things you're doing that are sabotaging your happiness? And I'll list off a few that I know ruin happiness for everyone. That is judging yourself, judging other people, judging circumstances, being critical, being in fear, constant fear of losing it. So you never really let yourself go all the way in. You never really let yourself receive. You never really let yourself be present. You never really let yourself enjoy because of fear. And it could be any number of things. Like we were just talking about, you can make a little list of why are you afraid to be happy? We often don't let in happiness because we have self-worth issues going on. We don't believe we're worthy of it, right? I talk a lot about self-concept. That's a lot of what I teach. I go into this in my self-concept guide, in my little mini course called Worthy. I talk about that there too. There's a lot of reasons we hold ourselves back from happiness. There's a lot of things we do that block happiness, right? Even like a lack of self-discipline, right? So oftentimes so I see this pattern in clients a lot, and I know because I used to do this too. Clients who avoid any type of self-discipline or structure or consistency often have a fear of not being free, right? They're afraid. They're like, oh, I don't want to commit to this. I don't want to say I'm going to work out every day. I don't want to show up for my business every day or whatever, because to them that doesn't feel free. But ironically, that amount of that little bit of self-discipline, like that consistency showing up for themselves, is the very thing that would set them free. It would create financial freedom. It would create freedom in their body. It makes you feel so good when you show up for yourself consistently. It's like you embodying the successful version of yourself. So there's so many little ways we block ourselves, right? Like subconscious beliefs. Sometimes we can't see them because we're just too close to it, you know? We don't see it because it's like in our subconscious mind, which, by the way, is one of my gifts, guys, to help you uncover like what are your subconscious blocks. Like that's something I'm really good at seeing. Because, you know, once you see it, then you can shift it. So it's just becoming aware of this. Water Bear, Atomic Habits for Consistency. That's a really good book, Atomic Habits. Yeah. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to offer to you guys today. Like, how are you not allowing happiness? Why are you afraid of it? How are you blocking yourself? You know, if we're not happy, it's because we're either sitting in regret over the past, focusing on some sort of loss or failure, perceived, mind you, or we're stressed out and anxious about the future. We're afraid that the good we have will be taken away. We're afraid that the success won't come, that the love won't come, you know, whatever it is. We're afraid that something bad will happen. And all of these things keep us out of the now. And happiness is in the now. Happiness isn't something that comes next week when you've manifested the thing. It's not something that comes after you lose the weight. It's not something that comes after you create the success. Like those things can give you temporary little hits of happiness, but it doesn't make you a happy person. And just like the quote I was reading to you from the book earlier, which by the way, guys, this book should be pinned if you're interested in getting it. I highly recommend it. You know, if your happiness is dependent on something outside of you, you're in trouble because it can be lost. But the thing is, happiness, satisfaction is available to you right now. It's been available all along, but it's available in the now, and it's going to require you to change your perception. It doesn't require anything outside of you. It's like that quote that says, when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. And that's the thing about being, you have this on Kindle, awesome. Or are you talking about Atomic Habits or the inner work? But that's the thing, like you get to choose your perspective. The inner work. That's cool. I didn't know they had it on Kindle. That's awesome. It's a good book. Have you read the whole thing yet? I love it because it's like so much of the stuff I teach. It's so much of like what I've already led myself through. And so it's like such a nice reminder. And for me, I enjoy having it like organized. I like the little charts where they explain to you like how to work through the trauma and the wounding, because one, it makes it easier for me to like explain it to you guys. And two, it just is like a good refresher for me. I feel like the stuff is good to like, you know, it's stuff that we want to keep reminding ourselves of, because it can be easy to get swept up in like the day-to-day things and the problems and lose focus on like, just, you know, you need to come back to basics. Yeah, Water Bear, it is really well written. It's a good book. But yeah, we get to change the way we're looking at things. Are you looking at stuff from a victim perspective, or are you choosing to see the good? The last live I did, which I actually haven't uploaded that one to my YouTube just yet. I will upload it along with this one, but we were talking about your reticular activating system. It seeks out evidence because you can only process so many bits of information at a time. So if you're having an experience of not seeing the things you want show up, like why can't you see it? Because you're focused on something else. And this is what I was talking about in the last couple lives over the last couple of weeks, is we're going to experience life the way we perceive it to be, and what you focus on is what's going to expand for you. Everything already exists. That's part of being human, like duality. For everything wanted, there's just as much unwanted. And that's why they were talking about in this passage that I read that the things are neutral. They're just passing. Like the good's going to pass, the bad's going to pass. Like your happiness should not be dependent on that. But your happiness is also going to be dependent on how you view those things, the meaning you assign to those things. I personally love the power that I find in neutrality, you know, just choosing to be happy anyway. But a lot of people along their journey too will find power in choosing to see the good in a situation or assign a positive meaning to it. Yeah, Water Bear, acceptance is such a powerful energy to be in. And a lot of people, and it's literally, if you think about it, like acceptance is the complete opposite of resistance, right? So I see a lot of people, so I teach law of assumption, but I see a lot of people like doing it from a very controlling way, and it's like they kind of miss the point. It's like they almost fight with their 3D circumstances. They say this shouldn't be this way, this isn't okay, I don't accept this. And actually by doing that energetically, what they're doing is creating a lot of resistance. I find so much power in being like, okay, this is valid too, I'm not going to invalidate it, and I get to experience the opposite. And then understanding that your power isn't by fighting what you don't want, it's by internally focusing on what you want, choosing to see the good. The good's all around you. If you're not seeing it, if you're not experiencing it, it's literally because that's not where your mind is. Your mind is busy with other stuff. Like I see a lot of, like I've called a lot of my clients out on this. Like they're like, I'm doing all the things. I'm like, yeah, but are you complaining all day? Are you judging people all day? Are you judging yourself all day? Are you looking around at everything and being like, this isn't enough, I'm not seeing enough movement, things aren't coming in quickly enough? Like if you're holding up the lens of not enough, you're never going to be able to recognize abundance through that. If you would just put down the not enough lens, you would see there's more than enough. But it's literally just a perspective shift. So this is why it really is always inner work, you know? So that's what I wanted to share today with you guys. And I know, again, this is not my usual day and time to go live, so it's not the usual people on here, but it's always fun to go on and like meet some new people and see new faces. So thanks for joining me. If you guys want to join me again, I'll next week be back to my regular schedule, which is Thursdays at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Okay, so around this time on Thursdays. And then I put the replays up and I send out an email on Sundays with the replay and like an encouraging message for you. So if you want the newsletter, that's obviously free. You can find everything on my profile. You guys know where to find all the things. Am I on Instagram? I am not. Just TikTok and YouTube. Hi, Dana. Thank you. And yes, Water Bear, daily meditation is really beneficial. So I just want to thank everyone for being here. If you're not following me yet, I invite you to do so. That way you'll get notified when I post new content and when I go live. If anyone was interested in this, it's linked. I'm loving it, but I'm going to keep coming back on these lives and sharing little snippets of this with you guys because I think it's just too good not to share. So you guys have a great weekend, and I will catch you next week. Bye.